this video, we're going to go over the changes that you can expect to see in Analytics and Insights after the update that is applied this weekend, which is July the 11th, 2026, for our Alabama instance. So first, let me start by saying that this is to be used for training purposes only, that there are no real students or information shown in this video because we are in a sandbox training server, and any likeness to any person is purely coincidental. So first, let's start out with the changes that you're going to see on the student analytics side of it, which are going to be our dashboards. So starting off with the enrollment overview dashboard, which you'll also see a slight change here. Instead of student analytics already dropping everything out, you actually got to click on it now because they're doing some more tiering with this. So let's start on the enrollment overview. If your district is using programs, inside of here, there's a filter for programs, and in the past, you could not pick but one program inside of here. Well, now, if you have multiple ones, you can actually have it filter on multiple inside of those. So that was one kind of a bug fix that they made where you can choose more than one in that program filter where you could not in the past. If I go to the attendance overview, they made some changes to the layout of the attendance overview, and they reordered some of the metrics to make more common metrics be together. So all of the metrics that you're typically used to seeing on this attendance overview page is still here. They just might be in a different location on this page. So bar graphs put it together at the top, line graphs down at the bottom, and so forth. So all the information that you're used to seeing on the attendance overview page is still there. They're just in a different order, so you might have to scroll down the page to see what you're looking for. Also on the classroom absences page of attendance, they have reordered or sorted the staff names and course names. They are now in an A to Z sorting. They used to be backwards, Z to A, and so they have reordered it so that staff names are in alphabetical order down that page. All right, if we navigate over to the behavior overview now, and I still have my two filters on there that I filtered for a minute ago. But on this year over year graph that they have right here, it now defaults to a year to date. It's still year over year, which is what we built out in ours, but they do call this out in the release notes. So it doesn't really change much of what we see here, but you'll now see it be this YTD filter populated over here where we can see our year over year counts of that discipline count week by week throughout those years. They also made a change to the behavior overview on when offenses are occurring to fix some things with log entries, but we don't use log entries, so that one will not apply to us in the release notes. Next change was on the academics and achievement page. So let's go down to academics and achievement. They took what used to be one metric and separated out into two so that it makes much more sense in students on the what progress grades are students receiving in core courses grade. It used to be that if the course was receiving a grade, it was showing distribution of in progress and stored grades all in one metric, which made it hard to see how many, A's, B's, C's were actually in there. And so when we're looking at that, you're now going to see two different metrics right here. You're going to see what progress grades are students receiving in core courses, and then you're going to see what grades are students receiving in core courses. Now, let me take these two filters off to see if it'll show a little bit more for us. Yeah, it's much better. So when you're looking at progress grades, this means these are the grades that are currently in Power Teacher Pro. That's what this metric right here is going to be, so you can see how many A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. If I scroll down and see what grades are students receiving in core courses, these are going to be the stored grades that you've actually put into historical grades for each of those core content areas, so you can see how many A, B, and C. This used to all be in one metric. That's now been split into two, so you can clearly see what's in the grade book versus what has been stored for those core academics. Also now, if you were to click on any of these and drill down, we should now have a new column for course name in this drill down where we did not have it before. On the academics and AP, just filter on over to here. On the AP, we have an is AP scheduling proportionate between subgroups. This used to all be in one metric. It has now been split into 3 metrics. So now you're going to have one metric specifically for gender, one for special ed and EL, and one for ethnicity. So instead of that all being on one metric, that now has been split into 3 metrics. And then one other change on the student profile on the overview, if you were to click into an individual student, that GPA trend for any districts, it will auto hide at district level if the GPA data has been unavailable for 3 or more years. So if it's at a place where you don't collect GPAs, then it will just hide that metric altogether. But if you do collect within the last 3 years, that metric will still be there. And those are all of the updates that are coming to the dashboards. Now let's migrate over into the interventions and the student plans area and see what changes are coming this weekend to those. Okay, starting off with the interventions, first we're going to go to the intervention bank. And you'll notice a slightly different layout here. They have updated the action menu, the 3 dots beside any of the intervention plan names, where you can actually click on that and click View Linked Interventions. This is now a new option in here, so that if you click that, you can see what interventions are there. Of course, you're only going to see your district. For any of our state users, we would see what districts have started any of these interventions and who the intervention owner is for any of those. So that is a new flyout inside of the intervention bank action menu. Also, frequent filters are pinned at the top. So if there are ones that you frequently fly and how you filter these, you'll see these pinned up here. And we now have, if you notice, the filters have kind of changed a little bit. We now have this merge filter of type and subtype, where it used to be we would have to filter on each one of those. You'll see that these are just kind of condensed a little bit. All the information is still there. You can still filter in the same way that we have. It's just now, if I want to look at, let's say, for example, math summer camp K5, I could separate it out. And if you choose any of the parent ones, it's going to automatically choose all of them below. You don't have to. If I want to say I just want to see, 2026, it's going to highlight like that. So types and subtypes in your filtering when you're looking for a specific type of intervention in all the plan templates that we have, these will help you get there a little quicker. You do have the search bars as well. So that's an update to the intervention bank area. If we go over here to all interventions, there are some new filters inside of here. So if I were to go into the filters here, I now have a student group filter. So if you have built out student groups in Analytics and Insights, you can now filter on those groups and just see the interventions that have those students involved in them. There is also going to be a new district filter for multi-district users. So for our state users, you're going to have that filter where you should be able to see all of your districts inside of here. I don't believe they put it over here. Yeah, I think it's just going to be this one right here that you're going to see that. So that's coming for our state users where we could not see that in the past. Now, if we go into an intervention, so let me scroll down and find one that we've got here that's active. So inside of the intervention itself, now if we go to the manage intervention area, if you were to try to change anything in here, and I see I don't want to really change much of what Kindle has. Maybe if I change the end date to 7/26, if I were to try to save something and then back out of this, it's going to give me a warning of unsaved changes. Now, this used to not do that. It would, because some people sometimes think on these pages that it's going to auto save instead of hitting that save. So it's going to give you this pop-up to say, you have unsaved changes that will be lost. Do you want to save them before leaving? And so you would say, yes, I want to save and close and go out of that. One of the great things that I love about this update is easily adding goal data now. So we know that when we scroll down to these interventions, we have to go to these goals and enter everything in. Well, now you can select the goal that you are wanting to put in here, and you can immediately add scores from this page right here, and you can actually change dates. So if I have faith and I know on the 19th I need to enter in, whatever score these are, I can quickly add from within that screen right there. And with any of these, notice when I'm scrolling along the timeline, see how it's got that little plus sign and it says add score. So if I know on June 7th I need to add a score, I can add that in here. I can change, I can continue to just click and add on any student without having to necessarily go to the goal page and see all the students. Let me go find an intervention that's got a couple more kids in it than that. Let's see. Here's an active one that's got a few more. So if I were to scroll down here, if I select, oh, that one doesn't have goal data, but you would have that same, if you did have a goal on here, you would have that same information where you could just click and add goals straight on the student report card by hovering on the graph. And you can zoom in and out on the graph. So if I go back to the intervention that I was just in, even though it's only got the one kiddo, that's all we need to be able to show this. If I want to add a score here, I can zoom in and zoom out on these. Whoop, that's just going to my. I also have, when I go to the student report card, there's going to be a new enrollment status tag, so I can see right here whether the student is enrolled, withdrawn, or has completed in these. So we've got that on there. Also on the intervention, the aim line added to the student report card graph to join the initial score to the target score will be there. So if I add, let's see. Oh, this is the one that I was putting information on. You'll see those kind of lines come back in there. What else is inside of here? I'm reading off my notes as I'm showing these to you. Inside of this intervention is also going to be a new staff filter on the notes area. So if I had notes entered, I could filter where I could do it just for students. I can now search for staff. So if we have a lot of staff managing the same intervention and are all entering notes, I can now filter for an individual staff member and see what notes that specific person has been there. Also with this, email notifications are currently in beta. Now, we are taking the update this weekend to our pilot servers that are actually going to make this the core product. So coming soon, not in this weekend's release for y'all, but in the next one that we have, you will be able to get email alerts for in-app notifications. There'll be customizable notification preferences and user settings. All kinds of information. So as soon as we get that into pilot, we'll be kind of scripting up some information to show you what that will look like. And I think that's going to be really, really good for us as well. Okay, that shows us all of the updates with the interventions. So now let's jump into the student plans module and go take a look at what is changing in student plans. Now, I know some of y'all saw the updates that I gave back in May about what is coming this summer as far as being able to look at all plans in one area on a student. That is not coming in this weekend's release, but it will be in the next release that we take. We get that release to our pilot this weekend, and it will be coming soon for you. So I'm not going to be showing that piece to you in this for this weekend's update, but we do have a couple of things that I do want you to see. Okay, the first item that's going to be here is going to be a change for all of our state users. So now this district drop down that we have right here will retain your most selected district across navigation and sections. It used to be whenever we were working in this, we would click into a district and go to a student, and when we came out, it would revert back to the other district in the state. So this doesn't impact you as a district user, guys, but for our state users on here for OMI and ARI, it's going to help us because it will keep that last district there. Hopefully your eyes have already been drawn to one of the biggest updates in this that I think people have been asking for. Notice the plan name is now a clickable link. So you can now click on the name of the plan here. Again, remember, these are fake plans, so these are in no way the plans that you see over in our live environment, but they just give you an example of what a plan looks like. But this will take you straight into the plan, straight from that information right there. Ooh, and do you notice that there's these little images? We're going to be talking about those a little bit later, not today, but we do have some new things that we can actually start doing that would be image-based inside of these plans. So stay tuned for that. So go back to the plans. We do have some bulk actions on plans now. So if I have, I'm going to just click a few of these plans. If you'll notice in my bulk actions, we now have the ability to bulk edit, bulk clone, or copy. So if you see clone, that is going to be similar to our copy feature, how we can bulk complete plans and we can bulk delete plans if we need to. So a lot of people have been waiting on that bulk complete functionality. We will be able to do that now with this update. Also in plans, in the three-dot action menu that we're used to seeing over here, we now have different options over here. We have the option to edit the plan. You can change the properties of the plan. So think about changing like the plan type or the dates. That's where you would look for that. You can clone, you can complete, or you can delete the plan from these action menus as well. So if you needed to go in and change like the dates of it to extend it out, you're not having to click in the plan, go up by the student name, finding the pencil and doing it that way anymore. You can if you need to. If I go into this plan, absolutely can still get to those dates right here, but now you don't have to do. They are really, really focusing on trying to get fewer clicks on here for y'all, and so they've been taking all that feedback back in. So now if I needed to change the date of, Case's plan right here, I could just come here to the properties and adjust that date if I need to. So that we really, really, really are going to love. Inside of the plans, I will say, and I don't know if this plan has one or not, but let's see, if there is a date field somewhere, because this is not one of our plans, this is just one that they have inside of here. Any date field that you have now requires the use of a calendar picker. You cannot do manual entry on it anymore. I don't know that I have one. Oh, yes. Yes, right here. So like date of birth, you're going to have to choose it in the calendar. It's not going to let you free text enter it because there's been so many typos of people just hitting the wrong numbers or, leaving numbers out, / and or dash and things like that. So all date fields will now be a date picker where you will need to be able to click into and find the date or choose the date for that student. So those are the big updates that are coming within the plans themselves. The biggest update you're going to get in the next release, but there are still a few things here that I think are going to be great right here at the end, which is especially going to be completing those plans where you can complete any this summer in math that you need to. Let's navigate over now into the analytics dashboards for student plans because there are some changes to that. So here, and let's just go into the plan overview. And give it just a second to load. Okay, so when you're on any of the student plans, you're now going to have in your filter data, it used to just say down here at the bottom status. Well, now it says plan status so that you can know whether it's talking about an active or inactive or completed plan. Also, we have a new student status filter that is going to say I can look for active or inactive students and what plans they might have been a part of. And there is now a new pending student plans dashboard. Oh, it's right here, up at the top, right in front of my face. It's going to be the count of pending student plans grouped by plan type. I don't have any in here, but if you had student plans that were, predated for next year, you've gone ahead and put people into plans getting ready for the upcoming year, you would see them there as pending. And you're also going to have an overdue student plans dashboard. So if there are students that you have not either completed or extended it and it's gone past the end date, you'll be able to see how many plans are overdue and then click in to see those individual overdue plans. So if I want to see how many overdue PSTs I have, so this means that in the actual plan, the end date is a date in the past. So in this case, the plan ended on 5/22, but I have not marked them complete. So it's looking for you either to complete the plan out, or if the plan needs to still be going, you can go through and extend those dates. And remember, I can go through in mass. So if I said, oh, I just forgot to complete these out, I could add them to a group if I needed to kind of make my selection and then go back to the overall student plans page and then complete those out in mass over there. Can't complete them out in mass from here, but I can create a student group for them and say, these are overdue plans. go do it, and then you can get rid of that student group once you clear them out. So those are some of the updates that are coming in this weekend, and then there'll be one more release. Hopefully we'll get it in before the start of school. That's going to add that really easy, switch among plans in one page location for you that's really going to help with PST and literacy plans all together. So hope you're ready for the updates that are coming this weekend.